Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you guys are here, and make sure you guys subscribe down below because I post every week on Friday. So to stay in touch with those videos, make sure you subscribe. So I have a super exciting video for you guys today. We're going to be talking about guilt and shame. And I know this is going to be really helpful, not even just for the parents who are subscribed to my channel, but just anyone in general. This is something that we all go through on probably a day-to-day basis, but it's something that we have to experience throughout our life. And again, these two things, although we think they might be synonymous, are very different. And we're going to be talking about that later on in the video. But before we get started, I just wanted to quickly announce that spots for my one-to-one consult have opened up. So if you'd like to schedule your free consult, I urge you to use the link down below. And just as a reminder, this consult isn't just for those who have experienced a traumatic or some kind of loss in their life. This is for those who are feeling guilty, who are feeling like they are not in control of their emotional state right now, who are feeling like they have lost their confidence, and who are looking to change all of that, who are looking to get very in touch with themselves, who are also looking to feel connected to themselves and their kids. So if you find yourself in this situation, I urge you to use that link below and sign up for the free consult. So before we get into talking about these two topics, I think it's important to know exactly what we're talking about here. So although it seems like they may be synonymous, guilt and shame are actually very different. As Brené Brown puts it, and she's one of my favorite people on this planet, and I talk about her in so many videos, but the way she describes guilt and shame, which she actually researches for a living, guilt is something that we experience about our behavior, whereas shame is something that we experience about ourselves. So the way she describes it is saying like, I am bad, that would be shaming ourselves, as opposed to saying I did something bad, that would be guilting ourselves. And I think it's important to note the difference because it comes into play when we do our self-talk, right? When we constantly tell ourselves, I'm so stupid, I'm this, I'm that, I'm all of these negative things, we're putting that into our subconscious. And we now have these thoughts about ourselves, and therefore we're going to keep doing these things. We're going to keep doing these things because that's what we call what is us, right? As opposed to instead of saying, I did something stupid, or I did this to somebody and I wish I could take it back, or I didn't do this and I know I should have done this on time. So these are things that we can just describe about our behavior and don't tell us anything about ourselves. And in fact, it can be very motivating. So for now, we're just going to be talking about the way that we deal with guilt as opposed to shame, because I kind of want to leave shame to the side for a bit and just focus on the guilt. So I think, again, parental guilt is a whole different breed of guilt because you are now in charge of someone's life and they depend on you for everything and you want to give them everything. And now you feel sorry because you can't give them all that you thought that you could at one point when you envisioned yourself as a parent having this perfect child and this perfect life, and none of it happened. It never happens. That's the whole point of this. You may find yourself worrying about, am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? Am I working too much? Am I giving them the best that I can give them? Should I have played longer with them? Should I have come home earlier from work? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? And all of these things start to arise, and we can't really do anything when we're in this guilt trap. We're paralyzed. It is paralyzing when you find yourself trying to, come up with all the ways that you're a bad parent and all of the ways that you wish you could be better, especially now because social media is toxic. It is just everywhere. We're constantly comparing ourselves to people, comparing ourselves to the perfect parent who can be this perfect person for her child while also running a marathon, while also running her own business and doing all these things. And it's just, we're not seeing the negatives. And so when we're constantly trying to compare ourselves to these perfect individuals out on social media, when we know what really goes on behind closed doors, it's hard to not feel guilty about what we are not doing right and focus on all of the things that we are doing wrong. But the problem behind that, and the problem with getting yourself in that guilt trap, is the fact that unless we create that space between us and the guilt, and we kind of not overlook that guilt or overlook those negative things, but when we focus on the bigger picture at hand, then we can create that space where, you know, we can apologize if we actually did something wrong, where we can be empathetic if we're actually hurting somebody, aka our kids, where we can actually make awareness to things that are going on in our lives and not just feel guilty and sorry for ourselves. Because at some point, you can't just keep getting stuck in this guilt cycle. You know, you actually have to take action. That's the only way you can move forward and better yourselves and make your situation better. You have to take action on it. And once you move away from this guilt and you create that space and you create that awareness, then you're able to realize what actually can be done. Those answers will come to you where you didn't see them before because you had those, you know, you had that vision tunnel where you were just trapped in the guilt and you couldn't see anything else but that guilt and all those things you were doing wrong. So as you guys know, I love to do as much research as I can on these video topics. And I came across an article by psychologist Robert Gill. And I'll link the article in the description below, but I think he makes a few really good points. And one of them is the fact that we need to shift our focus or our perspective on things. And we need to stop trying to define what a good parent is, because there's no such thing as a good parent or a perfect parent. The way that we should define a good parent in our terms is one that acknowledges our errors and our lapses in empathy openly, so we can take action and, you know, redeem ourselves, fix those mistakes, apologize if necessary, and be compassionate for ourselves and forgive ourselves when we do make those errors. He also points out that we need to make an effort to shift our perspective, and that's something that I always talk about on this channel, not in regards to guilt and shame, but in regards to the way we view our relationship with ourselves and with our kids. So if we can move beyond trying to define the perfect parent and constantly viewing ourselves in this negative spotlight, we can look to ways that allow ourselves to heal and actually talk about what's going on inside of us instead of feeling guilty about this. Maybe there's something underlying that we've never known about ourselves or we haven't gotten the chance to become familiar with. So it's about acknowledging our truths, our emotional truths especially, and it's also about being willing to learn more about ourselves and about the way we interact with our kids. And even that, the way we interact with ourselves, you know, that self-talk that I was talking about before, yeah, because it always comes back to haunt us. And it's something that we have to recognize and we have to change if necessary. We have to be more compassionate with ourselves and open and honest with ourselves about the way that we view the world around us and the way that we view our past even. So we have to shift into the perspective that, you know, you're still learning how to do this. You're still healing yourself and you're still, you know, trying to uncover the perfect model that best fits your family. So it's a work in progress and we need to be compassionate to ourselves and we need to also be honest about it. So if you can do just a few of those things and incorporate that self-talk, your world will change tremendously and the way that you view guilt will change tremendously. So just to recap, we just talked about the difference between guilt and shame, how guilt is about behavior and shame is about the self. We talked about the ways that we self-talk and how it affects our emotional cognition and the way it affects our behaviors. We also talked about the fact that we need to shift our perspective on guilt from one where we're constantly looking at the way we define a good parent and the way that we focus on those negative thoughts, to one where we can look at it in a positive light, where we can focus on learning and healing and perspective. So thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you can stay in the know with the weekly videos. And also as a reminder, I'm going to leave that free consult link down below. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.